Trello's free plan now caps you at 10 boards per workspace and puts power-ups, the integrations most teams actually use, behind paid tiers. The good news, Kanban is one of the simplest workflows to self-host. Today, for open source boards, the honest trade-offs on each, and the 3 Trello capabilities that will cost you whether or not you switch.
Before the alternatives, name what you'd actually lose. Butler, Trello's built-in automation engine that moves cards, fires deadline alerts, and routes issues across boards without anyone touching a list. That is not a convenience feature, it is process infrastructure teams build workflows on. Then the native power-up ecosystem, Slack notifications, GitHub branch linking, Jira Sync, one-click in Trello, manual webhook work in every OSS alternative. Third, Trello's mobile apps, which set the standard for drag-and-drop Kanban on a phone.
For self-hosted alternatives, 3 actively maintained, 1 long dormant, and we will flag which. WeKan leads at 21,000 GitHub stars under an MIT license. Planka follows at 12,262 flagged at license column. Leanote at 11,690, a hybrid that diverges from pure Kanban. Kanboard at 9,736, MIT.
Here is the adoption picture. WeKan holds a clear lead, almost double Planka. Planka and Leanote are close enough to be a real choice rather than a default ranking. Kanboard trails in stars, but has the deepest plugin ecosystem of the 4, so its functional surface area is larger than this chart suggests.
WeKan is built for teams that want Trello to look and behave like Trello. The board list card structure is identical, swim lanes are built in, and crucially, WeKan ships a native Trello JSON importer. Export any board from Trello's menu, drop the JSON file into WeKan, and cards, lists, and attachments come across without scripting.
MIT license, pushed to production yesterday, actively maintained. The honest caveats: WeKan runs on a Meteor.js backend, which is unusual enough that debugging obscure issues can take you off the beaten path. The UI is functional but feels dated. It works like 2016 Trello, not 2026. And community support on the free path runs through a paid commercial channel, so self-service debugging is the reality.
Planka is the pick if you looked at Trello and wanted a cleaner interface. It's TypeScript in React, the Docker Compose path is well documented, and the visual design is noticeably more modern. If your design team is the faction most resistant to leaving Trello, Planka is the strongest candidate for buy-in.
Planka's license shows as no assertion in the data. The repository does not publish a standard machine-readable identifier. Read the actual license file before any commercial deployment. The other migration cost: there is no official Trello importer. Moving boards into Planka requires custom scripting through its REST API, so budget engineering time before you commit.
Leanote sits sideways on this list. It combines a Markdown note editor with Kanban boards, closer to a lightweight Notes Plus boards hybrid than a direct Trello replacement. Teams that blend documentation and task tracking in one place will find it interesting. Teams that just want a board will find it off-axis.
11,000 stars, but the last commit landed in November 2023, more than 2.5 years without a push at time of recording. Its license shows as null in the data, so verify the actual repo terms before any deployment. If you are adopting a tool you plan to run for years, that maintenance gap is the primary reason to hesitate before choosing Leanote.
Kanboard is the minimalist choice. No visual polish, no animations, pure task management in PHP, light enough to deploy on shared hosting. Its plugin ecosystem is the deepest on this list: time tracking, Gantt charts, email integration, LDAP authentication. If you need those features, Kanboard has installable plugins covering all of them.
MIT license, pushed 4 days ago, actively maintained. The flip side of minimalism is a steeper learning curve for non-technical teams. Kanboard's configuration is dense by default, and the interface rewards patience over immediacy. For a solo developer or a technical PM, it is excellent. For a marketing team expecting Trello's drag-and-drop clarity, plan for a real onboarding week.
3 capabilities none of these restore. Butler automation. No OSS Kanban board replicates Trello's trigger engine. Every status transition your rules handled automatically now needs a human or a separately hosted automation service. The native power-up ecosystem, Slack, GitHub, and Jira connections that are one-click in Trello become webhook configuration in every alternative. And Trello's mobile experience, all four have mobile accessible interfaces, none matches the native iOS and Android feel.
Who should stay? If your Butler automations are load-bearing routing tickets, firing SLA alerts, escalating past due dates, you are not migrating a board. You are decommissioning a process layer and rebuilding it before you can remove the original. If your team is already embedded in the Atlassian ecosystem with active Jira links on Trello cards, those integrations will not carry over. And if the migration cost falls primarily on non-technical people who never ask to switch tools, weigh that disruption against the subscription savings.
If you're moving, here's the sequence. Export each Trello board as JSON board menu, then export. If WeKan is the destination, drop that file into its built-in importer. Cards, lists, and attachments resolve without scripting. For Planka or Kanboard, use the REST API and script board by board. Crucially, replace power-up integrations with webhook equivalents before you decommission the Trello workspace. That's the gap teams notice on day one, not the missing cards.
That's the 4. Pick WeKan for the smoothest import path and the closest visual match to Trello. Pick Planka if UI quality matters more than migration simplicity, and you have an engineer to handle the API work. Skip Leanote unless the Notes plus Boards hybrid is exactly what you need and the maintenance history doesn't concern you. Pick Kanboard for minimalism and plugin depth if your team is technical. The full comparison with live stars and migration notes is in the description link.